I'm Casey Janes. Alongside me today is local educator Nicholas Walsh. He's working on a film project right now called Fire for Effect. The film focuses on local veterans of the Vietnam War. Currently trying to get in touch with those veterans and their families. So what would you like to discuss with them?
Well, Casey, thank you for having me on today. Basically, we're reaching out to local Vietnam veterans, their families, families of fallen soldiers in the Vietnam War, basically to share their story for the documentary film.
What type of footage is going to be contained within the documentary?
Well, Casey, Fire for Effect is following in the footsteps of a lot of great Vietnam War documentaries. There are quite a few out there, but what's going to separate Fire for Effect from the herd is that I'm only using archival footage taken by veterans themselves, 8mm Super 8 film. A lot of that's been donated by veterans to the project. We're still always looking for footage. What I do is I work with Jim Clooney at DVD Memories Preserved. We work to transfer that material onto a DVD, and as long as we can use it in the film, I'll cover the cost of that transfer.
Now, the Vietnam War had a huge impact on Decatur, one that a lot of people in later generations probably don't realize. According to your Facebook page, 45 servicemen from the city did not return.
That's correct, Casey. When we look at a lot of the local news articles that were covered in the Herald and Review, the Decatur Tribune, the Vietnam War had a tremendous impact on the young people of this community in the 1960s and early 1970s. We think about Decatur being a blue-collar community with a lot of industrial companies that were operating here at that time. The young men that would go and work in those factories were prime candidates for the draft. But not only that, with the possibility of a draft, many of these young men enlisted so they could choose their branch of service.
Speaking of Facebook, what is your project page under, and are you taking any donations for the project?
Well, Decatur, Illinois Vietnam Film Project, Fire for Effect, can be found on Facebook. There you'll find links to videos, different photos, and kind of updates. I also include a lot of articles I find that may be pertinent to the project. My YouTube channel is found under my name, Nicholas Walsh. You type that in the search and my picture comes up. It could also be found under Decatur, Illinois, Vietnam. Those general search terms can usually bring up the trailers. I have trailers in multiple links. And one of those trailers touches on donations. We're basically moving into a completion of our production phase. We'll be wrapping that up here hopefully by the middle of June. And we're kicking off some fundraisers basically to cover the cost of finding copyrighted goods, or copyrighted material rather. The copyrighted material is always a little pricey to find, but it's going to help me to be able to better explain the story of Vietnam. We have a lot of local servicemen who were involved in news programs that were on during the time, magazines like Look and Life magazine as well. Trying to find the clearance for those items is a very laborious and costly process, but I feel it's going to add a lot to the story.
As far as this project goes, what are your intentions for it? Is this going to a film festival, or is this going to be in some type of an online competition?
Fire Effect, for me, serves two purposes. Firstly, it's a historical document that we're creating through the interviews, veterans sharing their stories that need to be told. My hope is that Fire for Effect will play the film circuit. I'm trying to stick close to home on some of the regional festivals, but my hope would be to use those regional festivals to be able to gain a distributor who might want to take the film to a broader audience.
And back to donations, where can people leave donations for this project?
Donations can be made at Decatur Earth Mover, any of the 4 locations here in the Decatur area, under the account Fire for Effect.
All right, well, boy, thank you for coming on with us today. Again, that's Nicholas Walsh. He's working on the project Fire for Effect about the Vietnam War, veterans and fallen veterans, as well as speaking with their families. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you very much, Casey.